Hello there. Now, our QEP is, in a sense, an assessment of how we are doing. And whenever you assess something and its effectiveness, you want to know what it is you're actually trying to accomplish. So in our QEP, we do have 3 goals laid out and measures upon which we can document whether we are progressing towards those goals. So let's look at those QEP goals. There are 3 of them. Goal number 1 is to improve student participation in HIPs across all academic programs. Goal number 2 is to strengthen students' independent thought, imagination, and creativity, and lifelong learning. And goal number 3 is to improve student success outcomes by creating and promoting a culture of high impact practices. Let's look at those goals one by one and what kind of data we're going to be collecting to document whether we are making progress in achieving those goals. So, goal number 1 actually has 2 different measurable outcomes. So one outcome, we're labeling this 1.1, is that all traditional students will participate in at least one HIP by the time they graduate from Reinhardt University. How are we going to document that? Well, we're doing that with graduating senior reports from the program coordinators, supplemented by reports from the Office of Institutional Research. We will be generating these graduating senior reports for the program coordinators, and all they will have to do is to look at the report, highlight any student that has not completed a HIP prior to graduation, and then append that graduating senior report to their annual program reviews. We will also look at the annual student self-reporting on the exit survey, and we will also look at increases in the self-reporting on the NSSE, the National Survey of Student Engagement, I believe is what NSSE stands for. We've just completed one of those last spring. We'll do them every other year and see how our students self-report their participation in high-impact practices. The second measurable outcome for Goal 1 is Outcome 1.2. The percentage of students who participate in at least 2 HIPs by the time they graduate from Reinhardt University will increase. So we have a comparison of data across time from those graduating senior reports. Again, we'll be generating those for the program coordinators, and all they will need to do is highlight students that have not completed a HIP. In that graduating senior report, it will also show the students that have completed more than one HIP. So we'll have that data from those graduating senior reports. And again, self-reports from the exit survey and from the NSSE. Moving on to goal number 2. How are we going to assess goal number 2, strengthen students' independent thought, imagination, creativity, and lifelong learning? Well, this is where those student learning outcomes for each objective come into play. And we want to measure how they are doing on these 5 student learning outcomes: knowledge and initiative, application and independence, curiosity, transfer, and self-assessment. One way we're going to do that is by requiring a reflection paper from every student who completes a HIP. And here's what that process will look like. The instructors of HIP will assign this reflection paper and score it using the rubric developed by the QEP committee. The scores from these reflection papers provide one required piece of assessment data. You can, of course, add others, but the common piece of data that we want on all of our reports are the tabulations of the results from the reflection. So we have the student reflection prompt for you to use. We have the rubric you are to use to grade those student reflections. And those scores from the rubric become one piece of data that you will report on the QEP assessment report. You can include other assessments and other targets to evaluate the effectiveness of the HIP. If you have other means of measuring how a student's curiosity is being measured, go ahead and include that as an additional data piece. Again, the process. Students participate in a HIP assignment or a HIP course. Students create a portfolio of that experience and submit the reflection. Instructor assesses both portfolio and the reflection using the rubric. Instructor submits a QEP assessment report to the QEP director. It's me. And then I will compile and analyze those reports and report back to the deans and other administrators. And then from there, it will go to the program coordinators, and from there back to the professors that teach in those programs. So goal number 2, the assessment, is really more of a qualitative look at what our students are doing as they participate in these HIPs, and our ability for them to get the most out of those HIPs by reflecting on our use of HIPs in the course and how we can make them better. Goal number 3, assessment. This is another kind of easy one, more of a quantitative assessment. As a result of increasing opportunities for participation in HIPs for all students, the first-year retention rate will improve. So for that, we will look at the first-year retention rate, and that's going to be a comparison of data across time from reports generated by the Office of Enrollment Management, OEM, and the Office of Institutional Research, that's the OIRE. I wonder where the E comes from. Outcome 3.2. As a result of increasing opportunities for participation in HIPs for all students, more students will be able to graduate within 4 years. Okay, again, we're looking at a comparison of data across time from reports generated by the Office of the Registrar and the Office of Institutional Research and Effectiveness. I remembered it. OIRE, Office of Institutional Research and Effectiveness. Okie dokie. So, outcome 3.3, as a result of increasing opportunities for participation in HIPs for all students, average course GPA will improve in all courses that have incorporated a HIP experience. And that, again, is going to be comparison of data across time from reports generated by the Office of Institutional Research and Effectiveness. And the way we'll do that is we will flag those courses in some way within our student information system, and we'll be able to mine the data from those flagged courses. Okay, how we will collect the data. We've seen this before. The student will participate in the HIP. Student will create a portfolio and submit a reflection. It's the reflection that's one piece of data. Instructor assesses both the portfolio and the reflection using the developed rubric. Instructor submits the QEP assessment report to the QEP director. That's me. And the QEP director compiles, analyzes, and reports to the deans and other administrators. Let's see that process in action. So here's how it will work. Each instructor will complete a QEP assessment report for each HIP course. So there's going to be lots and lots of these reports for all the HIP courses we are doing. They will send these QEP assessment reports to the QEP director. And there they go. The QEP director will then take those reports, look at what's happening, and create a QEP report to give to the Provost Council. There, the deans and other administrators will have that QEP information at their disposal. Additionally, the QEP director will send a list of HIP courses, and where not an experience tied directly to a course, we'll find some other mechanism for tracking those as well. But I'm going to send that to the Office of Institutional Research and Effectiveness. OIRE will take those, enter the information into Genzabar, flagging certain fields. Then they'll shimmy shake Genzabar to get all the data out of Genzabar that we need and create the graduating senior reports. Those graduating senior reports will be organized by programs. And so each program director will get a graduating senior report. And as part of their annual program assessment, they will append that graduating senior report with any student who does not have a HIP highlighted in yellow. And those also go to the Provost Council so that the deans and other administrators can look at those reports. And that closes the circle. We start with faculty here. Their reports go through this process, end up filtering to the program coordinators. So the program coordinators are aware of what's happening within their programs. Additionally, that report from the QEP director comes directly to the deans. And then from the program coordinators, these reports come over here to the deans. The deans can then discuss the results with the program coordinators, who can then discuss the results with the instructors in their programs. Does that make sense? Hope so. it was a pretty graphic anyway. What's next? Well, I've said it a few times in this slideshow, but I bet you're wondering, what is this QEP assessment report form? So that will be the topic of our next presentation, the QEP assessment report and how you're going to fill it out. See you then.